My mom was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. She was born into a lower middle class family and she was the oldest of six children. Growing up, my mom obviously had many responsibilities as being the oldest child. She always babysat, had to make sure all the kids were fed, make sure they were bathed, and all in all, make sure that they were happy while my grandparents, her parents, were at work during the day. My mom was always very driven. So when she was 16, she got a job as a waitress, her first job, and she's been working ever since. From a very young age, she knew that whatever she did in life, she wanted to travel the world and be able to see the world. So after high school, working very hard in high school, she got into Bowling Green State University, which is also in Ohio. She got her communications degree there, and that's also where she met my father. Upon graduation, she heard from a few friends that Houston was a great place to find a job. The job market was booming, so she figured, okay, might be a good place for me to try and find a job. So her and my dad packed the car. My dad hadn't graduated yet, so he transferred to the University of Houston. They moved to Houston, got in a really bad part of town, in a really crappy apartment, just filled with roaches and flies, and it just wasn't a very nice place to live. But it's what they could afford. So my mom landed a job with Eastern Airlines, which no longer exists, as a gate agent. So starting with the airline industry, she knew that that's what she wanted to do because that was her in to be able to travel and see the world. So she worked hard because she knew that she didn't want to stay as a gate agent forever. She wanted to get out of that crappy apartment. So a few years later, she got a job with Continental Airlines working in sales. And finally, her and my father were able to move out of that apartment, buy a house, and get on their feet. Now, she remained in sales at Continental for many years. She had myself and my sister, and a few years after we were born, she got a promotion, and she was transferred from the sales department into the human resources department. So she was working with people, whether it was help or problems within the office, problems at home. She loved what she was doing, and she worked very hard. My mom worked a lot growing up, but it kind of was a great example for me as far as being driven and going for what you want. So although she wasn't there all the time, it was a great example for me. So a few years later, she was once again promoted within Continental Airlines as a managing director. This was in the early 2000s. It was a really big deal, and she had worked really hard to get to a point where she felt stable and something that she had truly earned from starting as a gate agent to a managing director within HR. Now, a few years ago, Continental Airlines and United Airlines merged, and so she maintained her position within the company, but she moved to Chicago because that's where United's hub is. So my mom now maintains her job just in a different city, which is nice for me because I love Chicago and going to visit her. So she continued in the airline business. It's been 30 plus years now since she's been there, and it's just a prime example of her just being so driven and doing what she wanted to do and actually making her dream come true. And still to this day, she does things because she cares and she's driven and she wants to make it happen. And it's something that I truly admire and that I one day want to be just like that. And I want to be able to follow my dreams like my mom did. And I praise her for what she does. And I hope that one day I can be as determined and as successful as she's been.